Hey everybody, welcome to Into the Necrosphere. We are up to episode 17, and my guest on today's show is going to be one half of the group, not only responsible for this show's theme song, but also for Into the Necrosphere's very first Album of the Year award. I am talking, of course, about Marco from Stellar Master Elite. It's long overdue. Marco was the first guy that I ever interviewed for the show, back when I was still toying around with this being a Facebook live stream. And it was great to catch up with him again. We spoke about all kinds of shit, and I'm sure that you are going to enjoy the conversation also. Just before I get into that, though, I need to officially concede defeat. Sonny King of Primal Holocaust. If you checked out that episode, you would know that we spoke at length about the Donald Cerrone Conor McGregor fight that took place this past weekend. Holy shit, I could not have gotten that call more wrong if I tried. For those of you guys that did watch it, that are into MMA, I called a close decision win for Cowboy, for Donald Cerrone. As it turns out, not so much. Conor McGregor came out like a fucking cat with a firecracker made out of Tabasco sauce shoved up his rectum, and just absolutely went to town on Cerrone, mopped the floor with him in 40 seconds, and was declared the winner. Really, really touching moment as well at the end of the fight. Donald Cerrone's grandmother came to check up on him, and Conor went over to her and gave her a hug, and probably reassured her that it was all in the nature of the sport. But anyway, congratulations to Conor McGregor. A hell of a fight, I really had fun talking about MMA, so hopefully I'm going to get a couple of more guests in the future that are interested in the fight game as well. But Sonny, you were right, I was wrong, and I hereby publicly concede defeat on, as I said, an absolutely disastrous call. Anyway, I just want to remind you guys all again that if you like the show, and if you're a fan of what I do, please show some support by liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting on, and also leaving me a 5-star review if the spirit moves you. If you don't like the show, you can fuck right off. Also, there's going to be no What I'm Cranking this week, in part because there's nothing really on the radar that I'm interested in. But I may well talk about a couple of things at the end of the episode, so do stick around. I may even lift the lid off the mystery about why I think that Exuvia by Ruins of Beverast is one of the greatest records ever recorded. Who knows? Who knows what will happen? In any case, stick around. This is Marco from Stellar Master Elite. For a second there, I was a bit concerned that we were going to have another one of our. I think how many times did we attempt to do the first one? I think it must have been about 5 or 6.
5 or 6 times, yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
I like I said to you, I felt so bad about. I felt so bad for you because every time you come on all ready to go, and every single time was a complete and utter fuck up until we discovered this tool. So
it was kind of fun actually.
Well, I wanted to start off by asking you on a scale of 9 to 10, where would you place the thrill and joy of having your album named Album of the Year?
Oh, definitely 11.
By such an illustrious metal podcast.
11, definitely.
Yeah, good.
Thank you so much. I still can't believe it. When I saw that list and we made it to number 1, I thought this guy is definitely joking, but maybe you just have some weird taste.
I thought that. I mean, I know that you were worried for a second there that I was serious when I was making a joke about saying that I have to do it because we use your music as the intro and outro. But no, I can tell you now, it was a very sincere number 1, and like you saw, because you and I are friends on Facebook, so like you saw, quite a few of the people that I'm friends with, you guys featured pretty highly on their list as well. So, amazing job. If you were here in person, I could have taken my daughter's replica WWE belt and I could have refashioned it as into the Necrosphere 2019 champion.
Thank you very much. Thank you really much. We both were totally honored by your choice, definitely. And yeah, and I really like that so many people actually dig it.
Yeah, I mean, you said to me that you're surprised that anybody likes it. I still can't wrap my head around that.
Me neither. it's it's like I told you last time. I think it's a difference when you're the creator of something, and
Yeah.
you have a total different relationship to what you are doing and how other people might hear it.
Well, like I said, absolutely fantastic job, and I think I know you mentioned to me that you guys are starting to rehearse and starting to write music for the next album.
Yes.
But you said that could potentially be taking a very different route to what you guys did in the past.
Yes, we wanted to try a different approach this time, which will be that we are working in parallel at home for demoing stuff and adding synthesizers, samples, and so on. That's that we can both work together when we are not physically in our rehearsal room.
Yeah.
And, we thought that this could maybe we could be faster. And according to our plan, we go to the studio at the end of the year again.
Okay, so end of the year, you guys won't bring out anything this year.
This year, not no.
So
maybe some surprise for our anniversary.
Yeah.
And yeah.
How many years anniversary would that be? 10?
10, yeah. 10.
Okay. All right. But I'm glad you mentioned keyboards, because one of the things I was going to ask you was whether you sort of had a view on, what direction the music was taking. Whether it would maybe be stripping away some of the layers, being more raw. I know your tastes tend to be towards more raw stuff anyway.
That's true, but it's different to tell at the moment.
Yeah.
Because we are still finding stuff and see how we can connect it. And yeah, I think I can tell you in a few months.
But it's kind of an organic process, the way everything comes together. You guys kind of piece riffs together, and then those turn into songs.
Yes.
Which is amazing to me, because the album, like I said to you when we first spoke, it's got such a natural flow to it. It never feels like it's it feels like everything or the record feels very, very organic. It definitely doesn't feel kind of constructed in the way that you mentioned that it is. So kudos to you guys for being able to get that right. But I have a bone to pick with you, actually, because I know that you were going to be, I know we originally spoke about you coming on to do the top 20 countdown with me, and receive your award as we counted down. But you said that your tastes don't really include anything that was released in 2019.
No, that's not true. That's not true. I totally love the Deathspell Omega album, for example.
Yeah. And
I was quite happy to see it on your list as well, because I think it was a marvelous record.
Yeah, I agree.
I think I still don't quite get it.
the Deathspell Omega record.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so many things to explore and so much to hear there. It's amazing.
Yeah. It's so much more. All of their stuff has been pretty heavy anyway, but I feel like this record is more confrontational. I think that's probably the word that I would use to describe it. It's very in your face.
Yes.
I feel like the vocals in particular are a lot more aggressive. I like the production as well. I think the production is very. It's kind of stripped back, but it has a nice warm sound to it as well, almost like a vinyl type production.
True.
I think it's absolutely tremendous. But outside of Deathspell Omega, what else grabbed your attention last year?
Definitely the new Mayhem album.
Yeah.
Which I think it's like I said, it's like the Deathspell Omega album is very organic sounding, and it's not as constructed as the album before. Definitely not.
You see, I was a big fan of Esoteric Warfare. I really like Esoteric Warfare. I don't actually think there's a Mayhem album I don't like, but I'm a big fan, especially of Ordo at Chaos and Esoteric Warfare. I kind of like all of the avant-garde, the experimental stuff that they did on there. But this album, I feel like still retained enough of that to keep me interested. But I also like the fact that it's very kind of just balls out violent and aggressive. Like that real kind of Doom Mysteries vibe is back. Tons of atmosphere. I think it's Attila's finest hour. Across all of his bands. I think he just sounds amazing on this album. And I like the production too. I like that they've got Necro Butcher's bass, up really high. It's very prominent. I think Hellhammer sounds awesome. I mean, I know you're especially pedantic about drumming production. What did you think of that?
Well, I think he finally managed to get a quite decent drum sound. Not that trigger bullshit he prefers. But I think the drum sound on this one is quite good. It's still not top notch, but it's okay.
And top notch for you, I'm going to take a guess and say the new Tool album.
Sound wise,
yeah.
Yes, that sounds really good. Well, I think they paid 200 million to produce that thing, but that's what you can expect for such a high-class production.
Well, 16 years in the making? It's either 16 or 9.
13.
13, okay. All right.
10,000 Days came out 2006.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you think of the album, though?
I think it has the tendency to get a bit boring, because they stretch out the songs until 10, 11 minutes, and it's really, really hard to follow. Because in my opinion, it's, there's not so much happening there. Even though the rhythmic section is perfect. But I think that's my least favorite Tool album.
Yeah,
I must say.
Yeah, I think I'm maybe a little more partial to it because I love the production, so I tended to listen to it quite frequently because I listened to it on the hi-fi here at home. And when you listen to it through really big speakers and serious grown-up sound, not your phone, it is a different experience. But I mean, it wouldn't have made my top 20. I thought there were so many cool things that came out last year, and so many interesting bands. I don't now sit here and frequently go back to listen to the new Tool album. Whereas I listened to Stellar Master Elite a couple of times this week. I listen to the new Mayhem album at least once a week, and I have done since it came out. So there's a lot of records from last year. Weirdly enough, actually, the Call of the Void album, which I mentioned as well, I go back to that a lot. Partly because that's good gym music, but yeah, I just never had the inclination to want to go back to Tool all that frequently. Kind of unless I'm demoing a new amplifier or testing out new speakers.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think the wanting was better than the having with the Tool album.
Yeah.
Before it came out, I was totally hyped and searched for every bit of news I could find on the new album. And when I hear that new song, I was quite disappointed, I must say.
Yeah. So flipping it round, what would you say was the biggest disappointment of last year? Because I can think of one straight off the top of my head.
Biggest disappointment in music. Wow. I think I would choose the Tool album.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. I wouldn't go as far as to say that. I would say biggest disappointment for me was the new Dark Throne. Oh. I thought that I mean, I've tried to listen to that album quite a few times. I love Dark Throne. I think Hate Them to me is one of the best black metal albums of all time. But I thought the new Dark Throne album was a load of shit.
Oh, I disagree.
Really?
Yes. I think there are some hits on the album, and the thing what makes it special to me is that they just do what they want, and they shit on everything, and they just do what they want, and that's what it makes real.
Yeah, look, I get what you're saying, and I respect what Fenris does, and I respect the fact that they don't really, they don't conform to anything. They don't, they don't sort of they don't try and repeat themselves, and they they don't try and do what I guess what fans would expect. But I just thought the album was just so, it felt lifeless to me. I didn't feel like there was. It felt to me like guys fucking around in a studio, and that album came out. I think the band that made A Blaze in the Northern Sky, if they'd listened to that record, I'm not sure they would be fans.
Yeah, but you can't compare this to the black metal days of them.
Yeah, no,
definitely not. That's a totally new direction they are doing right now, and what they are doing is it's cool to me.
Yeah.
Because it has that raw fuck you sound.
Yeah. No, I guess so. I think that I thought what I thought was interesting. It was interesting seeing so many young critics in magazines and stuff or on websites flip out about it, like it was. They were kind of treating it like it was something very new and fresh. I was like, man, you can like this album, but there's nothing fresh about it. This is just pure old school worship.
Yeah, but you can't trust the magazines anyway.
No, that's true.
That corrupt bastards.
You guys wouldn't have been treated badly by magazines though, because I know you guys. I haven't seen anything in magazines, but I first saw about the band on not just on Black Metal Promotions, but I think Angry Metal Guy reviewed you guys.
Yes.
And there were a few other websites that had said very good things about the record, which made me want to check it out.
Yes, but that's only for the web part. But if you go to the print zines, in Germany, like Legacy or Rock Hard or Death Forever or whatever, then my impression is that if you pay to print some announcements in their magazine for 400 euros and a quarter page, then you automatically get a good review.
Yeah.
And they review the bands from Nuclear Blast or whatever big label. They automatically get good reviews because the magazines are advertising.
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't see any money exchange or being exchanged firsthand, but I will say when I was writing for Chronicles of Chaos, I used to go to press days quite a lot, and I would say the record labels would be relatively generous with magazines, as far as flying them out, taking them out to dinner, and it'd be quite cliquey, so they're kind of all in their little circle of friends, and I suspect there may be kind of a bit of not favoritism, but I think you just generally biased, maybe, but maybe just you might just be a little bit softer on a band than you might otherwise be because you like the record label PR or you like you've met the band, you like them. I remember being taken out by Nuclear Blast for dinner with Hammerfall, and they were such nice guys, and I felt so bad about giving their album 3 out of 10. It was fucking awful. I mean, I think I even might have mentioned in the review, these guys are great dudes, but Jesus Christ, their music fucking sucks. But I definitely, there's definitely like a bit of a clique in music. I mean, at least what I've seen here in the UK, and I have to say, I'm seeing a lot of it now that I'm starting to do now that I've started doing the podcast. There was kind of like there were assholes in this industry when I stopped writing, and it feels to me like the number of dickheads that have multiplied since I left. Now that I'm back, is significant.
I was never really into that writer scene, but yeah, if you think that, but why do you think it changed?
So I think that again, I think a lot of the older guys have kind of, a lot of the people that work for the labels, in my experience, have been there for a long time. And I mean a really long time, been doing exactly the same job, like 15, 20 years. Mm. So we're not talking about particularly ambitious overachievers here. And they're not massively good at their job. Gone are the days where they have to go check stock levels in shops and things like that, because most shops over here don't exist. They basically do an admin job. They send an email out, ask who wants to interview this band, then they confirm the interview. You can get an intern to come and do that part-time after school. So there's absolutely nothing to what they do. They don't, in my view, add much value. And I think they just kind of tend to be partial to people that they like, or people that take them out, or people that buy them drinks, or people that they've known for a long time. But I'll give you an example. So a guy that I've dealt with, probably for the better part of a decade. I worked with him a lot when I was on Metal Rules and Chronicles of Chaos. Never exchanged a bad word with him. He knows full well what I do as a show. There's nothing. I mean, I've sent him multiple links. He's actually connected to me on Facebook, so he should be able to see. He's seen when I've shared stuff. A call goes out the other day for a band that featured on my, and I won't entirely give it away, but people can read between the lines. A band that featured on my top 20, who's known for their views on veganism. And I go, yeah, I'd love to interview any of the guys. Let me know when they're free, and I'll manage my diary and plan accordingly. He comes back to me like 2-3 days later, and he goes, "Oh, they can't do a video or a Skype interview, but they can do email, so you can send me the questions." Well, what the fuck am I supposed to do with sending somebody questions on a podcast? Am I going to come back and read it to people?
That shit is what you get when you are in a band. Then you get your promotion guy sends you an email and asks, "Can you do the interview with blah 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 blah?" And then you are like, "Yes, okay." And then you get an email with 20 questions you have to answer. What kind of shit is that?
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. Like email interviews with bands. I can't see how any band would want to do it. No, I mean, that's fucking horrific. It's like work.
No, I always get angry when I get something like this, because they are the same 20 questions they're sending to every band they are interviewing. Yeah. And it's shit.
Yeah. No, I don't. As I said, it grinds me down sometimes, because I think when I was in my mid-20s and it was still a big deal to meet people in bands, I would have put up with it. But nowadays it's just like, I'm turning 40 in 2 months' time. I'm very, very busy as is in my day job. I don't have the patience to put up with bullshit like that. If you don't want to help me, you don't want to work with the show, or you don't want a band to appear on the show, just say so. I won't bother you again. Yeah. It's no skin off my nose, because I'd much rather feature other bands, smaller bands that I can give, that people that I can have a great conversation with, and bands that I can expose, and whose name I can get out, because that's the only reason I do this show. I also don't understand if these people think that I'm so hard up for cash that I'll do a podcast and live off the proceeds of that. There are no proceeds to live off of. So anyway, I'm ranting now, but it's end of
but it's true. It's just consuming your time, and it's leading to nowhere.
Yeah, no, completely. Yeah. And then you have guys like you that puts up with five false starts and still stuck in there, which is great. But like I said,
it was fun, and I think we both learned a lot.
Oh yes, yeah. Well, I mean, originally the idea for the show was that it was going to be a Facebook live stream on Sean's on Sean's Metalhead Pub channel. Which that seems to have kind of quieted down. I haven't spoken to him for a while. I know he had to tear down the Metalhead Pub when he moved house, because it was basically just it was like I don't know I think it's called a Wendy house, just like a little shed in the back of his yard. And he turned it into this really cool metal bar.
Let's call it man cave.
Yeah, kind of. Although his wife spent quite a lot of time there as well. So. But I mean, they had a jacuzzi in. I think they had like a beer distillery going there for a while. And I thought it was quite a cool vibe what he had, interviewing bands on there and doing the Facebook live stream. Yeah. But Facebook's not really the platform for what I would want to do.
Well, when he approached me about our first interview, I checked his site out, and I think it was quite a nice feature that he's standing there at his bar, drinking beers, interviewing bands, and well, that's quite cool.
Yeah. Look, I've known that guy for many years. I'm talking like, Jesus, I think I first met him before my voice had broken. So he was always he was always in the metal scene with me and Lee from Malevolent Creation. so we kind of all moved in the same circles.
So he's a South African guy as well.
Yeah, he is. But yeah, I can tell you, he absolutely does it for the love of it. He loves metal. He's been in some bands as well. One of them in particular, I always thought had a lot of potential, and I think because they were stuck in South Africa, there was never really much gonna come from it. But I know he's re-recording some of their music now, which I'm quite interested in hearing. But yeah, very very cool guy and very very sincere dude. Who, like I said, I think he had a great idea, and I hope he resurrects it. I think it wasn't the reason I didn't kind of stick with doing it there was partly because I was getting so irritated with just the Facebook as a platform, as far as trying to get something like that going, and also if you want to interview bands, generally you kind of need to be a bit more flexible with your schedule.
Yeah, sure.
There's not a lot of people that are going to tune into a fucking 3 a.m. stream. So, and I also I quite like the video editing side of things.
Yeah, sure, definitely. Well, I think this one with how is this platform here called? Zoom.
Zoom, yeah.
You have to put a beep on it on Facebook.
Well, yeah, man. Zoom is really cool. You'll be surprised how many people have issues using it. I messaged one of the guys from Crater messaged me and okay, yeah, we can set up an interview. By the way, you're German, so you're going to be able to settle this for me. Is it Crater or is it Krater?
Creator.
No, not Creator. Crater, the black metal band.
You mean okay? I understood Creator.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
it's Creator, but the other band is called Krater.
Krater,
yes.
Well, as I've said on episodes gone by, stop fucking speaking English. Only band that can get away with not speaking English is Rammstein. Well, actually, quite a lot of black metal bands too, to be fair. But that's besides the point. They did a fucking cool album. I reached out to them. I was like, I'd love to set up an interview. All good. Mentioned Zoom, and the guy's been missing in action ever since. I think as soon as people hear something where it's like, it's really easy. All you need to do is follow a link, log on, switch on your camera, and make sure that your microphone works. Boop, done. It's like, you just don't hear from them ever again.
Maybe you were scared.
I think some black metal dudes are too necro. I spoke to someone from Imperium Decadence as well, and he literally said, like, I don't have a laptop. I don't own a laptop and I don't own a phone.
I know guys like that as well, yes.
Oh, dude, I don't know anybody like that. I seriously don't. I don't know a single person that doesn't have multiple computers, a smartphone. Whenever I talk to people that are like that, it feels fucking weird. It's like, what sort of backwards caravan community are you living in?
So I know a guy which plays in the band with me, like, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, who got his first cell phone, I think half a year ago.
That's not the dude from Impavida, is it?
No.
Okay, all right.
No.
Because I reached out to him as well, but I've not heard anything back.
I can ask him if you want.
Yeah, do because I love that album. I thought it was fucking awesome, and I mean we myself and Giuseppe raved about it on the show, so it'd be great to have him on.
Yeah, you can definitely ask him. Let me write that down.
While you're at it with that, I wanted to ask you this: Are you a Behemoth fan?
I was until they turned to.
What you're about to say? Until to the first demo, everything after that is sellout.
Until they turned to total hipster goblins.
Yeah. You know what? I met Nergal a couple of years ago, and I thought he was a really cool guy, and he was very focused on the band and very focused on kind of what he wanted to achieve with the band. And I will hand it to them. I love the last album. I didn't like The Satanist, but I really liked the last album, and I really thought that I tip my hat to them as far as achieving success very much on their own terms. But Jesus Christ, that guy does stupid shit. Have you seen this business of him posting a thing on Instagram saying that he was kicked out of the YMCA in America, Christian gym, for wearing a Dark Throne T-shirt, and then it turns out that actually didn't happen, and he's like, oh yeah, no, I was just doing it to cause a stir, create a reaction. It's like,
I read about that. That's I don't know. I think they changed for the bad. Like when you see them live, it's just a big theater. They all do the same moves, like then
Yeah, it's a bit like your countrymen, mate, Scorpions.
Oh.
They definitely do like the unison whipping and moving as well. I mean, I don't mind stuff like that. I want to talk to you about live shows in a sec, because at some point I'm going to convince you guys to play live. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but yeah, they do the unison moves. But more for me, that stuff's all fine. It's just like, why do you do stupid shit like that? The other day I saw they brought out this new music video, and there's some shit around it about the number 11, because supposedly 11 is the most blasphemous number in Christianity. It's like,
okay,
bro, I grew up in a highly religious house. I've read the Bible cover to cover many, many times. I can tell you right now, I've never once read anything where God or a prophet or anybody else said, "Hey, watch out for that number 11. That's some grim shit."
Yeah, well, you can use any number, I guess.
It's fucking stupid, man.
But I think like with an album title called The Satanist.
Yeah.
Why are you doing things like that?
You saw, I think, I can't remember whether it was Loudwire or whether it was Metal Hammer. So it was like, yeah, it's the greatest album of all time. It's like, what? Yeah. I thought there's a couple of cool songs on there, but for the most part, I thought it was fucking dog shit. I think the new album is a lot better. I mean, again, they're never going to be one of they're never going to be one of the elite as far as I'm concerned.
But when they released albums like Demigod,
yeah,
or Chrome or something, those albums were really cool.
Yeah, Demigod was that's still my favorite album.
That's just what I was talking about with a friend some weeks ago. Is that when we saw Behemoth in Trier, in my home city?
Yeah.
In 2000 and when the Demigod album came out, and they were just coming on stage with the jeans, with the t-shirts, and a bit of smeary corpse paint, and that was it. They were not wearing any skirts or whatever, having any stage decorations. Was just pure energy there on stage.
Well, I know one of the things that I just wanted to double check actually whether it is Demigod that's my favorite album. No, it's not, because my favorite album is the one that has At the Left Hand of God.
Okay.
Which I think was the album that came after. I can't remember off the top of my head what it's called. But anyway, I know he's a big fan of, I was going to say about the stage gear and stuff like that. I know he's a big fan of Rammstein. And he really likes that kind of theatrical side of things. And to be fair, I do too. I don't like lame shit like Iron Maiden on stage. To me, I know everyone fucking creams their shorts about it. I think it's the dumbest crap I've ever seen in my life.
I've never saw them.
I saw them. I was bored to tears, mate. I was fucking around on my phone for most of the show.
Really?
I don't like Iron Maiden's music anyway. I've no qualms in saying that either.
Where did you see them? In Wembley Stadium?
No, I saw them at the O2 actually.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I got free tickets from work. This was about probably 8-9 years ago. I got free tickets from work, and it was cool for the first couple of songs. There's a lot going on. Bruce's voice sounds good. I just don't like their music. Their music was always lacked like a certain danger, that I crave in music. There was just,
you can't deny their hits.
No, I mean you can't. But I mean, you also can't deny fucking Lady Gaga's hits. She still sucks. So, there's a lot of people that listen to her music. It doesn't mean it's good.
1953 beginnt die CIA mit dem Experiment MK-Ultra, Möglichkeiten zur Bewusstseinskontrolle zu erforschen. Dazu gehören Elektroschocks und abhängig machende Psychodrogen, die an vielen oft ahnungslosen Testpersonen ausprobiert werden. Das Projekt ist auf ein riesiges Netzwerk von staatlichen und privaten Institutionen verteilt und wird über einen Zeitraum von fast 20 Jahren durchgeführt. Immer wieder hat die Regierung ganz offen zugegeben, dass diese grauenvollen Dinge tatsächlich so passiert sind. Wenn sie schon bereit ist, das alles zuzugeben, was hat sie dann noch zu verbergen?
I mean, I get why people would like them. It's just the same that I get why people would like Slipknot, and I know I've ragged on them on the show before, but I do also concede that a band like Slipknot opens the door for kids to discover other bands and get into hopefully
sure.
better music.
Sure, but I saw them opening for Metallica. In
Slipknot.
Yes.
Oh wow, okay.
When Metallica played their St. Anger tour.
Well, I saw Metallica, or I saw Ghost open for Metallica, and Ghost was one of those bands that I never quite got until I saw them live, and I was like, Jesus Christ, okay, I get why people like this band.
I saw them last year in Germany.
So you would have caught them on the same tour?
Yes, sure. But I think it was just the atmosphere. You have 75,000 people there, and the sound was too low, and you didn't hear anything, you didn't see anything, and it was just. I occasionally hear the bass drum.
Yeah,
and that was it.
yeah. And I caught the two big stage, stadium shows of last year, which was Metallica, and then about a month later I saw Rammstein.
Yeah.
But I have to say, man, Rammstein yet again took a dump on everything that I've ever seen. I mean, there is whenever anyone asks me like, what's your favorite live band, I don't even say Rammstein, because I think it's unfair to compare them to anybody else. Yeah. But what they do is on a different level. There is nobody or no band, no nothing has ever done anything like it, and I doubt very much in our lifetimes we're going to see another band like them. There's like a coolness to the way they do it as well, which I love. Nothing kind of feels too forced. It feels so German, and I mean that in the best possible way. But just so badass. Like you got to like Milton Keynes Stadium, and you could literally see the stage above the stadium because it was so massive. I mean, it like took over, I would say, about 30% of the stadium was just stage. So you could see like the massive pillars and stuff like that. And then when it starts, you realize, shit, there's pillars like all around you that you can set on fire. There was one bit where the band suddenly like appeared to the side of us, and they were singing, and it's nuts, absolutely fucking nuts. It was a lot better than Metallica. And I mean, I'm not a Metallica hater. I despise all of their new stuff.
Yeah.
But just as far as actual show and spectacle and how much how fired up I felt when I was done. There's no contest.
But how was the sound?
Way better.
How was the sound at the Rammstein concert?
For Rammstein, amazing.
Yeah. Was it loud enough? Because at the Metallica concert, I could talk to my wife without shouting in her ear.
Really?
Yes.
No, Jesus. So when we saw Metallica at Twickenham, and that was loud. It was really loud. There were some cool songs. The only thing that sucked about that show was the fucking idiots next to us that kept singing along, which it's their prerogative to do so. And I'm starting to sound like a really grumpy old man, but when I'm trying to listen to Master of Puppets, and then the guy is like harmonizing next to me, like whoa, it's like,
shut the fuck up, man.
Shut the fuck up. but no, beside that, it was a cool. The sound was cool. There was no issue with that.
Maybe it was because it was in the stadium, and the sound came back from the walls. But because we were on an open field.
Aha. Okay.
Yeah, and I think the PA was just too small for that.
I'll tell you what I don't like about Metallica at the moment when I see them live. The fact that James is not drinking anymore. Ever since ever since, like, if you watch those old videos, like you watch Binge and Purge, James is on stage yelling and shouting at the audience and swearing at them and insulting them and stuff. Ever since he went to rehab after some kind of monster, he's the extent of his stage banter is, enjoy this, guys. Enjoy the metal moment. Blah, blah, blah. We love you. Like, fuck off with that shit. I don't want to hear any of that.
But to be fair, this guy has no reason to be angry anymore.
That's the problem. They need to take his money away. So, and that actually, that's a theory I've long held about rap, because I know you're a fan of a lot of old school hip hop, same as me. I've always said when it comes to old school hip hop, they should have like Wu-Tang is a great example of this. After the 36 Chambers came out and it did really well, The record label should have said, we're going to take all your money away and we're going to keep it in you're going to keep it in the bank. You can get it when you retire, but you have to do 5 albums at least. The only way in which we're going to be able to get the right performance out of you is if we keep you poor.
That would have been an approach for Metallica, actually.
Oh, fuck yes. Big time. I mean, I very often I'll again, especially when I'm sitting around and I'm listening to music on the hi-fi, I'll give something off Ride the Lightning a spin, and then I'll go on to the Black Album or something like that, and I'll be like, I was still very young when Kill 'Em All came out and when Ride the Lightning came out, but I get the impact that those records had. I cannot imagine how fucking pissed the fans must have been, like those hardcore fans, when the Black Album came out. And there's songs that are not bad on it, but oh my god, it is so shit in comparison to the first 4.
The sound on that album is phenomenal.
Yeah.
There are still some quite decent songs on it. But I guess when the hardcore and old fans really got pissed was when Loads was released.
Although in defense of Load has their best song that they wrote post And Justice for All, in my opinion, which is Bleeding Me. I think Bleeding Me is amazing. They did there's an acoustic version of it on Tidal that was recorded at the All Within My Hands benefit, which is fucking incredible. And that's kind of almost in my view where, Metallica post 1988, they should have become an acoustic band. They should just have, James should have gone off and done his own thing and just written acoustic music, because he actually sounds genuinely good when he sings that stuff.
They just should have retired, and James should have founded his country band.
Yeah, agree. I think it would have been awesome. And also, he should have never stopped drinking. At least just do something to stay angry. The only guy that can get away with being friendly on stage and still be, kind of retain his badassness is Tom Araya. There's no other frontman that's ever managed to smile on stage, in my opinion, and laugh and be nice to the audience and say, thank you, we love you so much, and not look like a dick. The only one has been Tom Araya.
I love that guy. He was always smiling. While playing that mean, angry songs.
But like when he, I used to love when he would like introduce a song and it's like, are you ready for war? And it's like this big smile on his face. And he looks like, especially with that fucking beard that he had, he looks like Father Christmas. Like, are you ready for war? But yeah, man, I know you were pretty sad as well when Slayer played their last show last year.
No, I think it was long overdue.
Yeah, it
was overdue when Jeff Hanneman passed away, and then when Dave Lombardo left. I'm so happy that I catch them with their original lineup.
Yeah,
I'm really happy about that.
Did you see them on that tour where it was the original lineup and they did Rain and Blood as the encore?
I saw them on that. How was that album called? On the Christ Illusion tour.
Yeah,
I saw them in Glasgow. Yeah.
Yeah, so I saw them on the Christ Illusion tour. I also saw them when God Hates Us All. They kind of did like a second run in support of God Hates Us All, and they did Rain in Blood as the encore, and they did. I think they recorded a live show of that as well called War at the Warfields. But
I have the DVD.
Well, the coolest part of my experience of that show was I was standing right in the front when they were doing all of the when they were doing the encore. And, it was one of those things where, this was before proper internet, so you didn't realize this was going to happen. Anyways, so they start with Angel of Death, and then they go into all of the rest. And one of my favorite Slayer songs ever, Altar of Sacrifice. I'm fucking standing there screaming and yelling, "Enter to the realm of Satan!" And then and Jeff Hanneman was like standing above me, looking down and just like smiling, like nodding his head, looking at me. So, that was my favorite part of the show. I met all of them as well, and I didn't care for Kerry very much, but Tom was just such a nice guy, like one of the nicest people maybe I've ever met in music.
I can imagine.
Yeah, but I agree with you though. I think after Jeff left, I mean, Kerry, unfortunately, He forgot how to write any decent riffs after Seasons in the Abyss. Every fucking song that he wrote after that is basically like a variation of chuck, 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 two, three notes, and then chuck, 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 chuck.
In my opinion, they should have let Gary Holt write the songs.
Yeah.
Which he was not allowed to, but he's a phenomenal guitarist.
Well, and actually, as far as musical or music quality is concerned, Exodus's last couple of stuff is really good.
I'm going to see Exodus in a month. I just remembered. Yeah, Exodus, Testament, and Death Angel.
Oh, dude, that show is coming through here as well, and I don't know why I didn't get tickets, but I would have loved to have seen that. I'm a fucking huge Testament fan, especially now, because I think of all of the thrash bands from that era. I mean, name one band that has been as consistent and has released as many great records as Testament.
That's a tough one.
Not even there's no one comes close. Chuck Billy still sounds like a total badass. Skolnick is one of the greatest guitarists of all time. Gene Hoglan's drumming is fucking phenomenal. I love that band. I think even at their quote unquote worst, which a lot of people say was demonic, I thought demonic was excellent. I still listen to it now. I think there's great songs on that album.
Yeah. Did you see them live yet?
No. They're one of those bands. There's like a select number of bands which for some insane reason I always seem to miss. Melakesh is one. Nevermore was one, which I'm extremely pissed off about because they were a real favorite of mine. And for some reason, Testament seems to be one as well.
I saw them some years ago live in Luxembourg. And then Steve DiGiorgio did a bass solo there, and I was totally stunned. Man.
Steve DiGiorgio was he had some side band going as well. I'm trying to think what the band was called.
I think he played in Zardos.
Yes, yeah. I need to check what that album. I actually want to listen to that again now that I think of it. But that band's last record, the way the production was, it made his bass really stick out, and he was playing fretless bass, and he was so fucking good.
You mean the album where the bass was so loud you couldn't hear anything else?
Correct. I love that album though. I'm trying to think what it's called. Also, I just noticed that the name is taken from the Dune novel. Did you know that? Did you ever watch Dune?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, Denis Villeneuve is remaking that.
Oh, what?
Yeah, well, that's not a bad thing. So Denis Villeneuve is the guy that made Prisoners, which is an amazing movie. He did both Sicarios. Oh, no, sorry, I'm wrong. He did the first Sicario. And he also did The Last Blade Runner. But yeah, that album's is called, I think it's called Out for Blood. Yes, it is.
I think you mean Swallowed in Black.
No, it's definitely the one I'm thinking of is definitely Out for Blood. Okay. And I really feel like listening to it again now. But yeah, Steve DiGiorgio is amazing. I mean, Testament. Just if anyone says you get worse at this game when you get old, I think they just need to listen to those guys to know that they are very sorely mistaken. Same with Napalm Death, which I know I'm very excited about them bringing out a new album this year.
This year? I didn't hear anything about that yet.
Yeah, no, it's as far as I know, it's done. It's recorded. We're probably just waiting on a release date. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff coming out this year. New Paradise Lost, that I know is definitely coming. I'm super excited about that. New Anel Nathrak.
But Anel Nathrak, they are pumping out albums like chicken do with their ex.
Talk about a man with a lot of hate in his heart, Mick from Anel Nathrak. But no, I mean, the last one was fucking fantastic. So, I spoke about this, I think, with Sonny on the last podcast. But who the fuck would think of like taking a sample of a gun from the First World War and layering it over the drums? That's genius.
I think that was the loudest concert I ever saw. They played here in my hometown, and they played a small room, maximum 100 people.
Yeah.
And they had this big PA, which the promoters took from another concert venue here in my city, which is for 600 people, and they put it up, they set it up in this small room. It was like I had earplugs, and I still was like
They said listen, this PA is big enough that we're probably going to have to clear out half the audience to make space for it. I saw them a couple of times. The first time I saw them, they opened for Marduk, and that was a really good show. Really, really good. Marduk, I'm a massive fan of. I hope they bring out a new album, and I hope it's better than Victoria. I hope it's kind of more to like Wormwood or Serpent Sermon or stuff like that. But I know you and I spoke about this briefly on Messenger. But when they were playing here, there were a couple of dudes that stood in front of me that for some fucking moronic reason started doing the Nazi salute whilst they were playing the Blonde Beast. And I was like, what is the point of this crap? It's like they were so nonchalant about it as well. It's like, you know, no one around them was agreeing. The band wasn't going, hey, those are some cool dudes. It's like, why do you think you look cool standing here just like raising your hand up trying to look mean? I mean, neither of the guys could have been employed either, because they were like both face tattooed and fat and fucking dressed like bums. But
but that's the problem with a band like Marduk, who really use that topic in their music. And I think you heard about that accusations against the drummer and the vocalist ordering stuff online from some right-wing websites, stickers.
Well, my understanding with that was I thought that they were just ordering merchandise, like not merchandise, not like T-shirts, but you know, like World War II memorabilia. You know, which we spoke about Jeff Hanneman. He apparently had a fucking museum full of the stuff.
Yeah, but
as did Lemmy.
Sure, but I think the Marduk guys, they were accused ordering really, really right-wing extremists.
Okay.
And I think that's the reason why they attract people like that.
Yeah. Do we know whether that was a legit accusation or whether that was real?
Never heard of that again.
No. Yeah,
because bullshit. Like with Take in the United States. Come on.
well, I will say with the dude from Take's name is Horst, I think. Host. Sorry, he's a legit fucking nutcase. Yeah. Was it not him? I mean, I can't remember. Did he go to prison for setting a Quran on fire, or for running around with a swastika on his chest at a show?
Yeah, that was actually a show in Germany.
Yeah,
I think it was in Essen, where he came out on the stage with a swastika painted on his chest.
Fucking hell! I mean, you would.
In Germany, you can get easily arrested for things like that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I again though, it's I often kind of think about the moral quandary in what you listen to, because people go, if you go back into art in you know, like the 16 or the 1700s, you know, the great artists, Van Gogh, you know, cut off his ear. Yeah. Beethoven, by all accounts, was a fucking dickhead, you know, died of syphilis. So then you go, okay, at the same time, is it wrong for me to listen to Burzum? Because I think Burzum is fucking great. Is it wrong for me to listen to Take or Inquisition?
I love Burzum as well, but if it's always the discussion, people, can you separate the person from the music?
Yeah.
And in terms of Burzum, I can, because he never used anything that he believes in his music, lyrical wise or with images and cover art or like that. So I can separate the music from the guy, which is clearly a nutcase.
Yeah.
I absolutely, I can't understand him.
Have you seen any of his videos of him cruising around with a Jeep in his?
I was a follower of his channel, because I was always, when I was sad, I opened one of his videos and then But anyway, this guy for me has nothing to do with his project.
Yeah.
So,
you know what I found very interesting is how the Mayhem guys have they seem to have sort of embraced Burzum and the Burzum legacy. I didn't know this, but apparently they recorded a cover of Hesus Dort for the new album. It just didn't make it onto the record, but they have apparently recorded a cover of it.
That's edgy.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what just think how fucking cool Dunkelheit would sound as a cover by Mayhem.
Oh yeah.
That would be the bee's knees. I mean, if ever there were a perfect band to record a cover or that song as well, I mean, Mayhem would be incredible.
But as far as I know, those guys, they just did it to piss people off.
Yeah, I know, most likely. But I've always I actually reached out to Ghoul, and I have exchanged messages with him. So when they're done with their tour, I'm hopefully going to have him on the show. Because they just all the guys just strike me as just super interesting. But what I find especially interesting is like a guy like Attila. If you see an interview with him, he's such a relaxed dude and such a like softly spoken guy. Yeah. And then you get him on stage, and it's fucking insane. It's like one of the few times I've been to a show where I've generally like stood back and gone like, this guy is out of his fucking mind.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, but it's with the most Norwegians that I have met. They are totally like, nah, go away, no.
Yeah,
don't talk to me, and then they go on stage and they are totally different persons.
So here's my question to you: if I say I won the Euro Millions and I was 100 million strong, and I said, Marco, here's £1 million or here's €1 million. You need to go out and get like stage gear, like a setup for a show, and you guys need to play live. Firstly, if I gave you that money, would you play live? And secondly, what would you do with that money as far as pulling together a show befitting Stellar Master Elite sound?
Oh my God, that's a tough one. Well, first of all, if we have enough money to not to work anymore and hide in our cave,
you'll need to invest wisely, but you can definitely take a break for a while.
No, I definitely would take a month of holidays and put stuff together. And I think a very, very nice thing, which I talked about with Dave, would be that we have quadrophonic sound on our gig. That we have speakers in every corner of the room.
Yeah,
which we control from stage, and then we just go nuts.
Yeah. I always thought that because you guys really remind me a lot of and I mean this in a good way, not like you're ripping them off, but Red Harvest. Yeah. Like I feel like you guys are like a blend between Red Harvest and Ruins of Beverast, but I always feel like Red Harvest was one of those bands that I could, in my mind's eye, I could see how cool a show with those guys could actually have been. You know, if you had the right lighting, I mean, it would
be awesome, really.
Yeah, like think of like Neurosis meets the opening scene on Terminator 2, where the robots are walking through like the fucking where the Terminators are like walking over those human skulls. That kind of vibe for Red Harvest. But I think that could work very well for you guys too.
Oh yes, and of course lots of fog.
Yeah,
and then just some really, really simple lighting, like just blue or red lights.
Yeah, actually, that reminds me of something else. Have you been to see Mayhem on this current tour of theirs?
No, not on the current tour. Last time I saw Mayhem was in Oslo, actually, when they played Messias Dum Satanas in full.
Yeah. I don't know if they did it when you guys saw them or when you saw them there, but they've used when I saw them play the last time, they used that intro off Wolf's Lair Abyss as like the intro to the show, and they just had this one really sort of bright light from behind the stage, and then kind of blue covering the stage.
Oh, you mean that with the trumpet?
Yes. Oh my God! It was one of the greatest intros. It sets the tone so well.
Oh yes.
Because it's like that. It's like that cavalry. I think it's like a cavalry trumpet. So it's like.
Yeah. Then you have that mean synthesizer in the background.
Yeah, like. Oh my God. Yeah. So something like that again. I think you guys could appropriate some of those ideas and incorporate that in your stuff.
And I think a part of our show would just consist of improvising things.
What, like jamming for like electronic jam for an hour?
Not for an hour, but I don't know, for a certain amount of time, just jamming there, and because I know that we always get cool stuff together, so that would be awesome as well.
Yeah. Mate, as I said to you, you guys need to play live. You need to convince your bandmate, even if you just do like 1 or 2 shows a year.
I would love to, but at the moment we really are on a maximum concerning time.
Yeah,
because of my bandmate just had kids with his wife, and we are working, and yeah.
Okay, well, like I said, at some point, mate, at some point, I'm going to convince you.
That would be awesome.
I don't know how I'm going to do it, but dude, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for coming back on the show, and once again, well done. Yeah, the first ever guest on Into the Necrosphere, and the first ever best record of the year on Into the Necrosphere. And you know, from my side, you know, whatever happens to the show, I will be exceedingly happy that you and I met each other and that we've become friends since. So yeah, thank you, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys do next, and seeing you at some point in the UK. So awesome, dude. Take care of yourself.
Thank you very much, and I will come to London definitely this year and to pick up my award.
I'll have it ready. All right, dude.
Hey, see ya.
All the best. Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Bye. thanks so much to Marco for joining me. Really great time having a conversation with him. And, I count myself lucky that I've, been able to make some really great friends with the show. Even though I've only been going for a better part of about 4 months. Marco, Giuseppe from Corpsing, Sonny from Primal Holocaust, just great people. It's been so much fun meeting, and people that I've kind of communicated with on an ongoing basis after that. So, Marco, I salute you. Thank you for coming onto the show. Thanks for making some great music, and thanks for all the laughs. I wanted to address very quickly as well a couple of things that I said during the interview, just in case anybody gets the wrong impression. So, one of the things that we spoke about was James Hetfield and the fact that he's no longer drinking, and therefore, in my mind, has become a substandard frontman. I do want to stress that I am very much in support of his struggles, and wish him all the best as far as getting sober, and as far as getting and staying healthy. Most of us watched Some Kind of Monster, and kind of saw the toll that alcoholism had taken on him. So I'm very, very happy for him that he's in a better place. I know he recently went back into rehab, but hopefully he comes out of that, and he's feeling stronger and better for it. The point that I was making really was that, just for my tastes personally, I kind of prefer old James, beer James. I like frontmen who yell and shout and kind of psych me up when I'm watching a show. If you're making aggressive music on stage, I want to feel aggression coming off stage. And I don't think there's anybody that does it better than somebody like Randy Blythe from Lamb of God, or Phil Anselmo from Pantera, Down. And really, there was nobody that did it better than James from Metallica. So, some people might like the "We love you," enjoy the metal moment malarkey that he's into. Me, not so much. But that being said, I did want to draw a distinction. This is definitely not a slight or me being insensitive about his very, very storied struggles with alcohol, and I do hope that he is doing well. Another thing that I wanted to talk about was something that I skirted around on the conversation with Marco. And that is the future of the podcast, and some of the frustrations that I deal with doing this. I don't want to sit here sounding like I'm whining, but I do want to be honest with you guys. And if you've listened this far in the show, that means you're one of the hardcore and one of the few and the proud. And first and foremost, I do want to say thank you very much to everybody for the support that I've had. The encouragement, the positivity, and the great feedback that I've generally received from people, way exceeded my expectations. And like I said, I've been lucky enough to make some really great friends doing this as well, even though it's been, going on for a relatively short period of time. That being said, from time to time, it does cross my mind as to how long I'm going to be able to continue doing this. For starters, this doesn't pay the bills. So lest anybody think otherwise, this is never something that's going to pay the bills. My day job keeps me really, really busy. And as it is today, for example, I woke up at 5:10, did some stuff around the house, worked, went to the gym, came back, worked again. It's now about 6:30, and I'm probably going to record this and then get back to work again. So, between work and between the need to maintain a healthy sex life and pay my girlfriend some attention and spend time with my daughter and go to the gym and do all the things that you have to do in your life, it doesn't leave very much time to fuck around. Now, I had all of those things in mind when I started this podcast, and it's not something, as I said, that I'm complaining about. It's just the reality of it. What I would say that the piece that kind of takes the joy out of doing this, and I think, sorry, I need to backtrack a second. In order for me to want to keep doing this, it needs to be fun. What sucks the joy out of it are some of the complete and utter fucking imbeciles that you have to deal with in this industry. And I know it's the same everywhere. But I mentioned the example during my conversation with Marco about the record label PR that wanted me to send in email questions for somebody in a band. I mean, what in the fuck am I going to do with an email interview on a podcast? And it's not just record labels either. It's bands. Weirdly enough, particularly smaller bands that a show like this really was created to kind of help showcase and help promote, that seem to think that they're doing you a favor by coming on a show. I mean, I'm nearly 40 years old. I'm not starstruck by anybody anymore. It's no big deal for me as to whether I meet or don't meet somebody. Like I said, I started this show because I love metal. I enjoy the process of actually creating the show, barring the constraints that it places on my time. And I wanted a forum to be able to showcase bands that maybe people hadn't heard of before. So when some of those bands act like fucking rock stars, it just like I said, it sucks the joy out of things, and it defeats the purpose of why I'm doing this. But that being said, I've got a fair bit of cool stuff in the pipeline. So I'm interviewing Joel McIver later this week. Joel is the writer of a whole bunch of really cool rock star and metal biographies. Most recently, he's written the biography for David Vincent. So that's going to be a really fun conversation. I've had the pleasure of speaking to Joel a couple of times, being out to dinner or at a dinner where he was at as well. And he's a super interesting cat, and I'm really, really excited about talking to him. I've also got Mike Hill from Tombs confirmed that I am going to be recording this coming Friday, so you'll get to hear that in about 3 weeks' time. So yeah, very, very keen on sharing all of that with you. And I will say, for all of the fucking weapons that you find in this industry, there are people like Jessica and Letitia from Season of Mist. There's Connor from Apocalyptic Witchcraft Records, who are absolutely top-notch professional folks, and they do make things a little bit easier. But sweet Jesus, my patience runs mighty thin with some of the other imbeciles that I have to deal with doing the show. Anyway, I'm going to park that for the time being and talk about something a whole lot more pleasant. Let's preface this with a little snippet of Ruins of Beverast's Exuvia album. So, why do I think Exuvia by Ruins of Beverast is one of the greatest albums ever recorded? I think I should probably set the scene to this in terms of how I discovered the album. When my daughter's mum and I got divorced, they moved about 200 miles away from where I live. I would drive up there every Thursday evening, drive back on a Sunday. The drive back on a Sunday involved about 50 miles of open country road, where mostly you just go through forests or kind of see. And it's unbelievably beautiful. So perfect setting to not only put your foot down on the old gasoline, but also to listen to music. And Ruins of Beverast had been a band that I had been familiar with previously, but I'd never been as into as I got into them with this record. Exuvia in particular was an album that a friend of mine had really started to like, and he kind of kept playing it to me, and I kept making a mental note that I needed to spend some proper time with it at some point. And one particular Sunday morning, I decided to play it, and I have to say, after the 50-mile journey, it felt like I had been on an entirely separate journey, because this record is one of those albums that burrows its way into the deepest crevices of your brain in ways that I think the only other band that's come close for me to doing is Neurosis. Every single song is, in excess of about 10 minutes, beside the last one. But they're all kind of built up of these movements similar to classical music, where you start with a melodic line, or you start with a riff, or you start with a keyboard melody, or whatever the case may be. And then they kind of build it up with more and more and more instrumentation and more just all sorts of crazy avant-garde experimental shit, and until it forms this massive crescendo of sound, just absolutely engulfs you. And then right before you can get too familiar with it, or right before you get too comfortable with what you're listening to, they'll kind of switch it up on you and they'll move on to the next piece. And every single song is like that. It's crushing in its intensity. It's almost suffocating in how atmospheric it is. And it is like nothing that I've ever heard in my life. I've never heard a band that has created a record that I think sounds so kind of primal on one level, but yet also so polished and so well put together. I know that Alexander Melenvold did everything on this record. Alexander used to be, I think, the drummer for Nagelfar, and that being Nagelfar with an E, not the dissection ripoff Nagelfar. I know from some of the interviews, and this guy doesn't do a lot of interviews, which means that if he were to come on into the Necrosphere, it would be quite something. But I think he did DMT, or he did mescaline, or some other like LSD, some psychedelic shit while he was doing this album. But I mean, you really can hear it. I mean, his vocals alone. There's more creativity, more melody, and more interesting stuff going on in his vocal patterns than there are in 100 other albums that came out before or after. As I said, the whole record from start to finish is an absolute work of genius. And when you're done listening to it, you really do feel like you've been on a journey. As cliched as that might sound, it's one of the only records where I can turn on the hi-fi and I can sit down and I can listen to the album start to finish without moving. And I'll be completely entranced, and my brain will be completely occupied, which for me is a rarity, because I think as I've grown older, I've become a bit of a workaholic, and I can rarely sit still. So for a record to be able to do this to me is something quite special. So if my glowing endorsement didn't convince you, I am going to try my best to do so in song. This is a track, or one of my favorite tracks of the album. It's called The Pythia's Pale Wolves. And like I said, the album is called Exuvia. If you've not heard it yet, by Ruins of Beverast, it's available on Van Records, and in my view, one of the greatest albums of all time, bar none.
cycle begins anew the next day. This continues until death.
So that brings me to the end of this week's show. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for your support. I have had a blast as always. And I will get back to you guys again next week with another episode. The next week's episode will probably be the Joel McIver episode. Because like I said, I'm recording that, I think in 2 nights' time. So looking forward to that. Joel has also said he's going to see if he can try and get David Vincent to do an interview. But yeah, let's keep our fingers crossed that happens. In the meantime, wherever you are, wherever you're listening to this on, I hope that you are happy, healthy, and on the way to prosperity. Take care of yourselves. See you next week. From the mean streets of Surbiton on the outskirts of London, I am bidding you a fond farewell.